There is a moment when silence becomes louder than the scream in your mind. When the shadow of what-ifs outweighs the promise of what could be. That moment defines more souls than any fall. Not in the deed, but in the hesitation. That split second, when courage whispers, "Try anyway." Fear is not the enemy. Fear is the signal, an indicator that something worth having lies on the other side. Think of Edison in his workshop, face smudged in soot, shattered glass littering the bench, and 999 failures etched in history. You can almost hear his breath catch, sensing the weight of doubt, but his hand moves again. Why? Because he understood something timeless: failure fears comfort more than comfort fears failure. So we stand at the precipice every day, between what feels safe and what sets our blood on fire. Between the comfort of routine and the burning need to do something real. Between the half-finished dream in our heart and the echoing voice that tells us, "You can't." From Lincoln's trembling hands signing when his confidence wasn't full, to Ford's early wooden prototypes that stuttered down tracks, to Carnegie holding his fist over the steel he wasn't certain would hold, they knew that greatness demands a constant wrestling match with fear. Here's the paradox: if you think less about fear, you feel more. If you feel more, you're less. So the way through is not ignoring fear but befriending it. Learn its language. Discover its rhythm. Fear crouches narrow, courage opens wide. Fear says hide, courage says show up. And every time you choose action over the whisper of retreat, you are reprogramming your identity. Your mindset is the director of your life's movie. Set it to cinematic, not documentary. Fear will try to keep the story safe, predictable, unremarkable. But you're here to raise the stakes. To write a script that demands to be watched. So you lean toward the discomfort, not away. You rehearse courage until it's your default, not your rare guest. What you believe is even more powerful than what you see. Belief is the alchemy that turns ideas into reality. Hill taught that the man who believes he can succeed will succeed more often than the man who doesn't. Because belief injects your unconscious with purpose. It aligns your energy. It whispers in dead of night, "You were born for this." Even when your conscious mind says you're not ready, your belief stands steady: you are ready, because you decided. Belief doesn't come from comfort. It comes from calibration, feeding yourself proof, however small. Every tiny victory. Every moment you did the work, even once. It builds until you don't just hope, you know. Edison didn't believe in bulbs, he believed in light. Carnegie didn't believe in steel, he believed in empire. And you don't need to believe in the goal's magnitude. You need to believe in your willingness to pursue it. Once mindset and belief are allies, clarity arrives. Clarity is the compass that cuts through chaos. But clarity doesn't come from waiting, it comes from asking and choosing. Choosing what matters. Choosing what doesn't. Saying no so you can show up at your yes. It's why Ford didn't start building railroad cars, he built affordable cars for the average man. He saw the vision and he eliminated the noise. When you clarify your goal, down to its teeth, you make fear manageable. Instead of, "I'm scared," you ask, "What's the first step?" Instead of paralysis, you generate motion. Vision fuels the long haul. It's more than seeing the finish line, it's feeling it. It's picturing the face of your achievement, hearing its echo. Imagine your goal not as a distant star, but as a star that's already shining inside you. NFL quarterbacks don't throw to empty clothes, they throw to the image of the receiver in motion. You must see your success in movement, shadows shifting, wheels turning, flesh alive, not in frozen images of one day. That's modern vision, it moves. Purpose then becomes the engine. Clarity is the direction, vision is the map, purpose is the fuel. Purpose is what makes you snap awake when excuses sound sweeter than alarm clocks. Purpose makes the gym at 5 a.m. feel like a promise instead of punishment. Purpose is personal and savage. Edison didn't want fame, he wanted to light homes. Lincoln didn't want titles, he wanted unity. Carnegie didn't want reports, he wanted opportunity. Your purpose must cut deeper than your fear. Discipline walks in right after purpose. Discipline is your future begging you to show up for yourself. It's the seasons when progress is invisible, but faith says this is still working. Discipline is bracing for the gust before the wings lift you. Without it, belief flickers. Without it, vision dims. Without it, purpose turns to dust. Action is proof. Every repetition is a heartbeat of your dream. Every completed step is a stone in your foundation. You don't need to be perfect, you need to be consistent. Edison's light didn't spring from a perfect filament, it sprang from thousands of imperfect tries. Gratitude then aligns your rhythm with abundance. Thank Ford for paved roads. Thank Lincoln for unity. Thank Carnegie for industries that molded nations. Gratitude doesn't mean complacency. It means you're standing in progress, not outside it. It turns the fuel in your tank into rocket fuel. It reminds you, the world has already given you more than enough to begin. And when you begin with gratitude, fear loses its charge. The enemy that says it's not enough loses because you already have more than you deserve. But life will change. It always does. Markets fall. Trends shift. Bodies fail. News evolves. Adaptability is the muscle that carries you past yesterday's peaks into tomorrow's terrain. Edison pivoted from telegraph to light. Carnegie pivoted from telegraphy to steel. Lincoln pivoted from lawyer to leader to president. Your goals will ask you to pivot too. Bend without breaking. Adjust without losing your soul. Resilience is forged in the bend. Every time you fall, blame or break. Don't. Instead, learn, adjust, rise. That's the formula of achievement. Resilience is not some rare trait passed down through bloodlines of the blessed, it is earned, moment by moment, through the raw choice to keep going when everything inside you says quit. When your mind screams, enough, but your soul whispers, just one more step. That whisper is the seed of every comeback story ever written. Think of Walt Disney. Fired for lack of creativity. Bankrupted. Mocked. Rejected over 300 times before Disneyland got funded. Most would have stopped. Most would have said, maybe this dream is too much. But Walt didn't live in the world of most, he lived in the world of what could be. His resilience wasn't about being fearless, it was about refusing to let fear become his identity. You are not your fear. You are not your failures. You are not the broken pieces others tried to label as permanent. You are becoming. Every moment you choose growth over retreat, you reclaim a piece of the person you were meant to be. That is resilience, not staying untouched by pain, but walking through it with purpose. And that purpose? It evolves. It sharpens. It matures. If fear is the fog, learning is the lantern. Learning clears the path. It humbles the ego and feeds the fire of improvement. But real learning? It requires surrender. Surrendering the need to always be right. Surrendering the identity you've clung to so tightly, so long, because it made you feel safe. Napoleon Hill said, an educated man is not the one who has all the answers, but the one who can learn anything. True learning is a form of bravery. It's facing the fact that there's more to know, and you are not done. You are never done. Because life is not a destination, it's an unfolding. And the more you learn, the more weapons you hold against fear. The more strategies. The more clarity. The more conviction. That conviction becomes a force field. It's what carried Lincoln through Civil War. What kept Edison at the bench when failure laughed in his face? What kept Carnegie forging forward through the skepticism of others? Conviction doesn't wait for external proof, it becomes the proof. You speak it. You move like it's real. You act from the identity of someone who already owns the result. So ask yourself, are you negotiating with your goals? Are you bargaining with your future? Are you trading your potential for the comfort of the present? Because fear doesn't just stop you, it sells you something cheaper. It whispers, settle. It offers you discount dreams. And most people, they buy them. They buy the job that numbs. The relationship that drains. The identity that hides. Not because they want to, but because they've forgotten how to want more. Wanting more is not selfish. It is spiritual. It is the soul remembering that it was not sent here to sleep. It was sent here to sculpt, to shape, to serve. That hunger inside you is holy. Feed it. Protect it. Do not apologize for it. The world has enough people who play small to make others feel big. Be the one who plays big, to remind others they can too. And when that hunger becomes discipline, you move into action. Not random, chaotic action. Strategic, relentless, aligned action. You don't just do things, you do the right things, over and over, with brutal consistency. Hill called it definiteness of purpose. It is the clarity of aim that transforms effort into impact. Like a laser, narrow, focused, unstoppable. You don't get results by being busy. You get results by being intentional. Are your habits engineered for the outcome you say you want? Or are they built around who you used to be? Because action is the bridge between who you were and who you're becoming. Every step matters. Every small task compounds. Don't despise the days of small beginnings, that's where giants are born. Carnegie started as a poor Scottish boy in a textile mill. Lincoln started in a log cabin. Edison was homeschooled by a mother who believed in him when no school would. They didn't wait for conditions to be perfect, they acted anyway. And that's the secret, courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that something else matters more. It is the daily vote for the future over the familiar. It is the grit to walk forward, even when the path is dimly lit and the crowd has gone silent. You must become that, the one who moves, regardless. The one who takes fear and folds it into fuel. Who stares at the mountain and climbs anyway. Who understands that greatness isn't found at the summit, it's built in every bruised hand, every tired breath, every step taken when it would have been easier to turn back. So ask yourself, right now, with brutal honesty. What is the goal that keeps calling your name when the world is quiet? What is the version of you that keeps showing up in your daydreams, not for applause, not for approval, but because it feels realer than the life you're living? That version of you isn't a fantasy. It's a memory from the future. A glimpse of what's possible if you refuse to bow to fear one more time. That future version of you is not waiting in some distant tomorrow. It's waiting inside your next decision. The next time you say yes to discomfort. The next time you wake up an hour earlier. The next time you show up, even if your hands are shaking. Every choice you make is either voting for your potential or for your excuses. And the world will meet you at the level of your commitment, not your dreams. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not as wide as you think. It's measured in courage. In consistency. In character. Not talent. Not luck. Not some magical timing. That's a lie the fearful tell themselves, that success is reserved for the chosen. But history tells a different story. The story of the scrappy. The stubborn. The relentless. People who had every reason to stop, and didn't. Think of Oprah, born into poverty, told she wasn't good enough, not beautiful enough, not smart enough. But she kept showing up. She didn't have a shortcut. She was the shortcut. Her refusal to believe the story others wrote for her rewrote history itself. That is the kind of decision you're making, not just about goals, but about identity. Every time you act despite fear, you are rewriting your own code. You are proving to yourself that your destiny is not dictated by your starting point, your family tree, or your past mistakes. Your destiny is shaped by what you tolerate, what you fight for, and what you refuse to abandon, no matter how long it takes. So let fear talk. Let it rage, let it shout. You don't have to silence it. You just have to stop obeying it. Fear is loudest before the leap. That's how you know it's real. The voice that says, "Stay here," is not your protector, it's your jailer. And the longer you listen, the smaller your world becomes. That's how dreams die, not from direct attacks, but from subtle delays. From one more day. One more excuse. One more reason to wait. Until the waiting becomes who you are. But you weren't born to wait. You were born to build. To shape. To push. To break patterns. To stand up when others bow down. Fear may visit, but it doesn't get to unpack. Not in your house. Not in your life. Because your future isn't just a hope, it's a responsibility. You owe it to the people who never got the chance. To the ones who didn't survive long enough to try again. To the child inside you who used to dream freely, before the world taught you to shrink. That child still lives in you. Still wants. Still believes. And your job is to protect that flame, not extinguish it. Protect it by surrounding yourself with fire. With people, books, ideas, energy that ignite possibility. Isolation is where fear grows. But so is intention. So be intentional with your environment. Curate it like your life depends on it, because it does. Who you listen to, what you consume, how you spend your time, these are not neutral. They are sculpting you. You can't build a bold life in a passive environment. You need noise that drives you, silence that strengthens you, challenges that harden you, and reminders that sharpen you. Iron sharpens iron, and if you are surrounded by rust, you will corrode with them. Choose differently. Choose growth over gossip. Goals over grudges. Books over binging. Reflection over reaction. Everything you want is hidden behind discipline most people will never touch. But if you can touch it, hold it, breathe it, you become uncommon. You rise into the top few percent, not because you're better, but because you endured longer. It's not always about speed. It's about stamina. Will you still be standing when the excitement fades? Will you keep going when no one is clapping? Will you pour effort into the days that feel empty, trusting they are building something? Most won't. But you can. Because greatness doesn't arrive all at once. It accumulates. Quietly. Like bricks. Laid one by one, day after day, by hands that never stopped moving. And while the world waits to see the final tower, the builder already knows, every brick matters. So stop thinking in leaps. Start thinking in layers. You want to write a book? Write a page. You want to run a marathon? Run a mile. You want to be free? Make the hard call. Take the uncomfortable action. Say what needs to be said. Do what needs to be done. One brick. One day. One bold move at a time. And here's the thing they never tell you, the fear never fully leaves. Even the giants feel it. Even the icons. They just stopped letting it decide for them. They outgrew its power. Not because they're fearless, but because they learned the truth. Courage is a muscle. And if you train it daily, it grows louder than your fear. You weren't given this dream to tease you. You were given it to stretch you. To forge you in the fire of discomfort, repetition, and choice. The question isn't whether you're worthy of the goal. The question is, are you willing to become the person who can carry it? Because every dream has weight. And it will test your shoulders. Your patience. Your focus. Your heart. That's the trade. You don't just get the dream, you grow into it. It doesn't come to the version of you that started, it comes to the version of you forged through the battle. Through sweat, through fear, through showing up when it would have been easier to lie down. Think of Nelson Mandela, locked away for 27 years, the world forgetting his name. But not once did he forget why he was there. That's purpose. That's vision. That's endurance born of belief. He knew the cause wasn't bigger than his pain, it was born from his pain. That's what made him unstoppable. Not the speeches. Not the applause. The resistance. So don't resent the struggle. Don't curse the obstacle. It's not the enemy, it's the entrance fee. Every mountain has its storm. Every champion has their scars. The ones who reached the top didn't find an easier path, they just refused to turn back. That same refusal must live in you. Not as rage. Not as blind hustle. But as devotion. A quiet, unshakable decision that this is who I am now. Not who I'll become one day. Now. Because when you live as if the goal is already yours, you collapse the gap between vision and reality. You become magnetic. Focused. Relentless. And it won't always feel fair. You'll see people doing less, getting more. You'll wonder why your effort isn't being rewarded yet. But don't get distracted. Your path isn't theirs. You are not here to be noticed. You are here to be unignorable. To build something so real, so resilient, so powerful, that the world has to adjust to you. And that starts now. Not next week. Not after one more book. Not when you feel ready. There is no perfect time. There is only the decision. The shift. The identity you lock into and refuse to release. That is how fear is defeated, not in one grand gesture, but in 1,000 small ones that compound into a life no one saw coming. You are the compound effect made human. Your habits are stacking. Your choices are compounding. The days you think don't matter are the ones that matter most. That workout you didn't skip. It's a brick. That uncomfortable conversation you finally had. Another brick. That day you wanted to quit but didn't. That's the cornerstone. You are building something sacred. So stop playing small. Stop minimizing your power to make others feel more comfortable. You shrinking doesn't serve anyone. You hesitating doesn't heal anything. You were not sent here to blend in. You were sent here to wake people up. You lead by becoming. You become by doing. And you do by deciding. So decide. Decide that fear is just the alarm bell of potential. Decide that the discomfort is proof you're growing. Decide that your past doesn't get to narrate your future. Decide that the dream isn't crazy, it's calling. And when the world doesn't understand, let it. When they doubt you, let them. When they laugh, build anyway. That's what every great one did. Carnegie wasn't celebrated in the beginning. Disney was dismissed. Hill was rejected, criticized, ignored. Until the world caught up to the vision he refused to let go of. That's what you're doing. You're living ahead of the applause. Ahead of the payoff. Ahead of the approval. That's what separates the rare from the forgotten. So don't wait for the world to say yes. Say it yourself. Say yes to the early mornings. Say yes to the setbacks. Say yes to the solitude, to the sacrifice, to the silence. Say yes to the process. Because once you say yes enough, the world has no choice but to follow your lead. You won't get there by avoiding fear. You'll get there by inviting it. Feel it. Face it. Walk into it. Because fear only has power when you avoid it. When you face it, when you meet it eye to eye, it shrinks. It dissolves into motion. Into fire. Into proof. And that's what your life is about, proof. Not talk. Not theory. Proof. That you were here. That you tried. That you dared. That you didn't let the voice of fear drown the roar of destiny. You are the proof. Not just that goals are possible, but that the human spirit cannot be caged. That it cannot be reasoned with when it decides to rise. That when belief burns hot enough, it becomes reality. Let them doubt. Let them call it impossible. Let the world say what it wants. Because while they speak, you build. While they rest, you rise. While they wonder if it's worth it, you already know. Because you've seen it. In flashes. In dreams. In quiet moments when your mind wandered, and the world you want stood there, waiting. That is the life calling to you. That is the you were born for. Not the version shaped by fear. Not the version sculpted by rejection, or heartbreak, or circumstance. But the one who came here with fire in their lungs and purpose in their blood. You don't need permission to become that person. You don't need a sign. You don't need a map. You are the sign. You are the spark. Everything you've been waiting for is already within you, asleep, perhaps, but not gone. Stir it. Ignite it. Pour gasoline on your potential and light it up. Burn the old identity. Burn the excuses. Burn the fear, the doubt, the story that says, not me. Yes. You. You are the one. You are the first in your family. The pattern breaker. The line in the sand. The voice that says, it ends with me. The one who rewrites legacy, not because it's easy, but because you decided no one else was going to do it. That's what greatness is. Not inherited, chosen. Over and over again. In the quiet. In the shadows. When no one sees. When no one claps. When every part of you wants to retreat and yet you move anyway. Because you don't serve the world by hiding your light. You serve it by blazing so brightly that others remember their own fire. You lead by living. You teach by becoming. You inspire by overcoming. And fear? Fear becomes the backdrop to your masterpiece. The tension that made your courage visible. The resistance that carved your resilience. It didn't stop you, it shaped you. So now, there's only one thing left to do. Step. Step toward the edge. Toward the unknown. Toward the thing you've avoided for years. Toward the version of you that's no longer just an idea, but a requirement. Because life is not asking anymore. It's demanding you to rise. This is your permission. This is your wake-up. This is the voice you've been waiting for, your own. You don't overcome fear by becoming less afraid. You overcome fear by becoming more you. Louder. Sharper. Bolder. Clearer. Unshakable in your purpose. Unstoppable in your vision. Unbreakable in your belief. This is your moment, not because the world says it is, but because you do. So breathe. Clench your fists. Lock your gaze on the horizon. And walk. Walk into the life that's been calling you since the beginning. Walk through the fear. Through the friction. Through the doubt. Walk through every closed door like you were born with the key. Walk like your ancestors prayed for this. Walk like your children are watching. Walk like you are the proof that one soul, on fire with purpose, can change everything. You were not sent here to live hidden. You were sent here to overcome. So rise. This is your time. Now go, and become the storm.